So as you can see, the director is somewhat sleepy, but he is there, keeping a half eye on us at least. Hi there, it's Anne of Rosy Duck Designs. Thanks ever so much for joining me again today. Following the walk through the new annual, no not the annual, the spring summer catalogue, I did say I'd be back and actually do some crafting this time, which is what we're going to do, and I thought it would be good if we could use some of the new products from the catalogue and also one of the Sale-A-Bration items. So what I'm going to attempt to make today is this card, which is featuring the foil sheets from the Sale-A-Bration brochure. So they come in Grapefruit Grove and also Lovely Lipstick. So two very similar cards, and as I say, I'm going to have a go with this one today. These are absolutely beautiful. As I pointed out last time, there we go. The Lovely Lipstick is what is what we would know as a normal foil sheet, so it's got a beautiful sheen to it, lovely colour. The Grapefruit Grove is, however, hologrammed, so again I'm hoping the camera's picking this up, with the rainbow colours in it. Now I have to say it's very sunny outside today, and this is a terrible room for filming when the sun is fully up, so I've rushed around to get everything ready, and if I've actually got everything I need to complete this video, it will be a miracle, but we'll give it a go. So that's enough of me going on about things. So my base card I've cut as usual at 8 by 6, right? And I've scored it in the middle at 4, and that gives me my base card. I've got the insert card there at 3 3/4 by 5 3/4, and that is basically it for my card. Now what I'm using is the Forever Lovely stamp set, which coordinates with these Lovely Flowers Edgelits Dies. So we'll go on to that in a minute. What I'm going to do is, it's like a time lapse, isn't it? I'll get my brain in gear. So I'm going to do my insert first, and I'm going to use this stamp. I like to prepare myself for a video and have a coffee and all the rest of it, but I haven't had a chance today, so I do apologise. So I'm going to just put that at the bottom of the card, just so I've got a bit of detail inside. Beyond that, I don't want any sentiment in there because I'm just going to leave that blank for the message to be written. So that's that. While I've got the stamp out, I may as well do the coordinating envelope. Kind of makes sense. Now sometimes you get a stamp that's a bit too big to go on the ink pad, so when that happens it's probably easier to do it that way. That way you make sure you've got coverage of the complete stamp, because unless you're using a stamparatus it's impossible to get the stamp back in the position that you had it. So do a little bit of extra on the back there. That way you make it completely unique. Right, so that's our envelope done. And I'll just put that up there. Now normally I would clean that, but for the sake of timing, it's not helpful, is it? Just managed to smudge that. So whilst off camera, I've just redone that. So we've now got one that hasn't got a small smudge on it. The fact that I smudged at the top there means that I'll be able to cut that down and use it, so it's not going to be wasted. And that's sort of a lesson to take away from things, that you can usually salvage them, even if you have to cut a bit off. So right, and I did warn you that it probably wasn't going to go to plan. But then if it went to plan, it wouldn't be my video, would it? So I'm going to stick that in the middle of the card. I have to say, the sun is beating through the window and the heating's on, as you would expect this time of year. And I'm absolutely baking hot, which is not helping. And there's my card insert. Now, I've pre-cut these two pieces that I want to go on the front, because it's quite a laborious thing to have to do. But what I wanted to do is just talk you through how I've done that. So I've used, there we are. I've used this Edgelit die, and I've run that through the Big Shot. Now, a couple of things that I've learnt using this was that the pink one, the lovely lipstick, is quite good tempered, and that went through without any problem whatsoever. And I don't know whether it's the texture of this one with the hologram colours in it, but it was very easy to sort of scratch. Now, I have to say, my Big Shot plates look something like this, and it didn't work with that. It picked up all these scratch lines in it. Now, yes, I know I should have changed them some time ago, but I'm kind of those sort of person that if it's not broke, let's not waste it. But fortunately, I did have some new ones as well, so I've used them particularly just to do the cutout of this. So my advice is, when your plates, if your plates are looking something like mine, then this isn't going to work, so you need some new plates. So how I did this, I basically want, the card is 4 inches, so I want 4 inches of this. So I'm going to start by cutting here. And then I'm going to go to about 4 1/4 and cut through that. Oh, Marley wants to join in as well. Everyone's got an opinion, haven't they? Yeah, I thought, yeah. I don't think that's going to work though, Marley, to be fair. Because I don't think you've ever used a trimmer before. So now I'm putting it there on the 4 inches, because I've cut enough off this end and I can spare a bit off of this end. So I'm going to go across there. Now you can see where it's an edgelit. Are you going to keep that up all through the video? Seriously? So it's an edgelit rather than the whole thing coming out. And the other thing I was going to say was, when you've run it through the Big Shot, there's lots of tiny little pieces that have got to come out. So here. Now the first idea would be to use the Big Shot die brush, and you're literally running that over the back, and that will take some of the pieces out. It's not going to take all of them out. I think you've got a rival. Somebody wants your job, Ollie. So when you've got as much out using your brush, then look at the back and you can see the little pieces that need to come out. Now this is going to take a little bit of time, which is why I didn't want to do the whole thing on a video. The other point about this is that sometimes they're not going to just come out because there is some adhesive sheet stuck behind. So you may have a situation where the adhesive sheet doesn't unstick itself, if that makes any sense. So it's not a major problem if, for example, this bit here, that's the first thing I've forgotten, the scissors. Yeah, they'll do. It's not a major problem if you just have to cut that bit off, because there is so much adhesive surface here, and it's not a problem if some of these little tiny bits just come a little bit raised from your card. So that's basically the format of getting that in the state that you want it. So ultimately you finish up with this. So every little bit that's meant to come out has been taken out. Now I've done that with these two, and just have a look at that. Now again, that one, Timmy's here now. So that is more or less the 4 inches across. What I've been doing is I've been sticking it along here, and then if there's any tiny excess, I've just been cutting it off with a pair of craft scissors. Now, to my mind on this one, that would be a little bit too deep, so I would just cut a little bit off of that. So that would be, it's about 2 inches, the finished one that I want to use. So I hope that kind of makes sense. Obviously, sticking these little filigree type cutouts is very, very difficult with whatever glue you might want to use, be it snail or liquid glue. You're always going to get something come through. So there are these amazing multi-purpose adhesive sheets, and basically what you would do is you would take a piece of your card that you're going to use and cut a piece off of here, and then you just attach the whole thing to the back of it, and then you run it through the big shot, and then you finish up with your design on the front and your adhesive sheet on the back that you can now just peel off and stick to the front of your card. So if delicate work like that on a big shot is something that you do quite a lot of, I would certainly recommend adding those to your supplies. So we want to stick, this is the other bit where you need some nails. So that's now peeling off, so that's your adhesive sheet, so double-sided. So as I say, I've been sticking it to the centre of the card, right on that line, lining it up obviously with the bottom. There's a tiny, tiny bit there that I'm really not going to worry about that. So now the second bit that I'm going to put at the top here. If you notice what I was saying here, I've had to cut some of the adhesive sheet, so these are actually slightly raised, and that just actually adds to the detail. Those paint drying moments again, isn't it? Yeah. So it's the trouble when you've had to stop crafting and do housework, you start losing some nails, don't you? Actually a pain, isn't it, and having to actually stop and do something that's not crafting. There you go. That's life. So that's the front of my card done. I've also cut out, using this little die, these 4 little flowers. Now again, I've used the offcut of the sheet of the foil that I used to cut this out, so this has already got the adhesive backing on the back of it. Now these are not edgelets, they're just little dies, and they come out. Let's just pop those out. I've cut out this piece of foil using the layering oval framelits. I believe it was that one. So that's going to go in the middle. And I want to emboss the sentiment in the middle of this piece of card, which is Grapefruit Grove. So I need a spare piece of paper, just a random piece of computer paper. And first of all, I'm going to get my embossing buddy. Now, if you do a lot of embossing, you're probably aware of these. If it's something you're starting out with, get yourself one of these. I think there's something like £5.50. So very cheap, but there's a substance in it that you literally just rub it over the piece of card that you want to emboss, and it stops the excess powder sticking to the card. So that's that. Then you need a Versamark pad, and you need your sentiment. Now I'm going to use this one because, as I often say, I get through a lot of thank you cards, and this is from the new Butterfly Gala Stamp Set from the new catalogue. So we're going to be talking about that a lot more in the next video, but for now I'm just using this sentiment from it. So I'm taking that and putting it into the Versamark pad, and then I'm just going to stamp that in the centre. And now I'm using the 2018-2020 in colour embossing powders. So they come in the 5 in colours at the moment. So this is a new thing this year, to have some actual coloured embossing powders, and I have to say I'm enjoying using them. Now they are £23.25 for the 2, sorry, for the 5 even, but if you're just testing the water and you want to have a play with it, then you can buy black, clear, copper, gold, silver or white, and they are £4.75 a pot. And yeah, I've actually written down the embossing buddy is £5.50. Okay, have you had enough? Don't get yourself stuck to those adhesive sheets, will you? Right, your brother's behind there, isn't he? Okay, so we've got our sentiment in stamped out. So I'm just going to pour this powder over it, and then I'm taking it off like that. Now check your surface. Normally, again, I would have a paintbrush here. A horrible feeling there's a cat's hair in there, which is not good, is it? Okay, well, we'll just see how that works. This is the point of having the paper, that you can then get hold of the paper and then just gently pour it back in. I've seen other demos using little plastic pots, and that seems to work really well with a spoon. Probably a little bit less messy than that, but I have to say it's kind of the way I've always done it, so I'm sort of comfortable with it. Right, I'm going to emboss that now. I've got a heat tool. I have to say this is not a Stampin' Up one. The Stampin' Up one is, I have to say, really good because you've got 2 speeds on it. But again, I had this and I can't justify buying a new tool just for the sake of it. So it's like a hairdryer basically, so do be careful of your fingers because it does get hot. So I'm just going to turn it on, and we're not going to hear anything through that. So Sorry, can you pause it in a minute? So clearly Mondays are not my day either. Totally confused. I actually want a black bit in the middle. It's going to make so much difference. So again, I'm using my embossing buddy. I'm using my Versamark. I don't just throw these videos together. It just appears that way. I'm sitting here heating it up thinking, it just doesn't look right. What's going on? Never mind. There's plenty of professional videos out there on YouTube. Right, so we can give this another go now. Just knock off any excess. So we've embossed that. I've got to say I am not very happy with that. There's some whiteness coming through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-emboss another piece, and I'll come back to you and having cut it out, see if I can work out what's going wrong. Right, so I have embossed this one and I've cut it out using the layering oval framelit. I've got no idea actually what was going wrong, but what I did off camera was just give my stamp a really good clean. Yeah, that one. So it coordinated with this one, so it's only very slightly smaller, so you're just going to get that little edge of the foil around it. So as I was saying, I gave my stamp a really good clean, and beyond that I've got no idea, but it seemed to be picking up some whiteness, not from the embossing buddy, but there was something not quite right. So on one hand, very unprofessional, but on the flip side to that, I just think, do you know what, it happens, doesn't it? And we, including putting cat's hair on everything. Okay. But it kind of happens every day in a craft room, and I just think it's actually makes me look a bit silly, but who cares really? It's kind of what happens, and there's always a way around it. The worst thing you're going to do is waste a bit of paper. So as I say, it's very, very tightly tight sizing, so you're just going to get this little bit of edging around the outside there. Okay, so that's just going to go in the centre, and I'm going to put that on with some Stampin' Dimensionals. I can find them. There you go. See, it all went wrong, Ollie. You got down and it all went pear-shaped, didn't it? I don't know. If you want this job, you have to sort of do it full time while the video's on. Don't just come and go. You can in a cat's world though, can't you? It's kind of what you do. If only I could train you to make coffee. That'd be good, wouldn't it? See, I would be functioning so much better if I'd had my cup of coffee. So I'm going to put that in the middle. And then the final bit to that is these little flowers. Now again, they're a little bit fiddly just to get the backing off. So I did that off camera because the way things are going, That didn't seem like a good idea. So I'm going to put one there. Thank you, Marley. Some sound effects as well. It's all happening today. Another little one down there. And then this other bigger one I'm going to put down the bottom. And then just to finish that off, I'm going to use some of these little basic jewel rhinestones. I could use my picking up tool, my pick tool, which is probably what I should do. Or I could stick them to my nails and a whole new nail image going on today. So that is the card. There is the envelope. Now I'm aware that obviously to create this card you need certain framelits, you need to have a big shot, so it's more of a complicated card in more ways than one. So I just wanted to share that with you as an idea of how you can use these beautiful foil sheets. I will be looking at doing some more simplified cards where you don't need so much equipment, which is good, one, if you've not got the equipment, and probably easier for me to do because I can't make such a mess of it, but there you go. So from more complicated to this card, and this couldn't really be more simpler. Even I can do it. So I'll be back to share that with you in my next video, which hopefully will go a bit better than this one. Anyway, if you've had a good laugh, please do give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, then please do so. All that happens is you'll get told when I've uploaded a new video. So thanks ever so much for joining me, and I will see you very soon. Take care. Bye.